Is the Bitcoin ETF important? The launch of a Bitcoin ETF in the United States would have a number of potential effects, including increased institutional investment. A Bitcoin ETF would make it easier for institutional investors, such as hedge funds and pension funds, to invest in Bitcoin. This would likely lead to an increase in demand for Bitcoin, which could drive up the price. Reduced volatility. The approval of a Bitcoin ETF could also reduce the volatility of Bitcoin prices. This is because institutional investors are typically more risk-averse than retail investors, and they would likely be less likely to sell Bitcoin in response to short-term price fluctuations. Increased liquidity. A Bitcoin ETF would also increase the liquidity of Bitcoin. This is because it would create a more liquid market for Bitcoin, making it easier for investors to buy and sell Bitcoin. Greater acceptance. The approval of a Bitcoin ETF would also give Bitcoin greater acceptance in the traditional financial world. This could lead to more businesses accepting Bitcoin as payment, and it could also make it easier for people to use Bitcoin to invest in other assets, such as stocks and bonds. It is important to note that the actual effects of a Bitcoin ETF launch would depend on a number of factors, such as the specific terms of the ETF and the overall market conditions. However, the potential benefits of a Bitcoin ETF launch are significant, and it is likely to have a major impact on the cryptocurrency market. According to a survey by Nasdaq, 72% of financial advisors would be more likely to invest client assets in crypto if a spot Bitcoin ETF were offered in the US. This suggests that there is a lot of pent-up demand for Bitcoin ETFs from institutional investors. The approval of a Bitcoin ETF could also lead to a reshuffling of assets out of Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, GBTC. GBTC is a closed-end fund that invests in Bitcoin, and it currently trades at a significant premium to the underlying value of Bitcoin. This is because GBTC is not a spot ETF, and it does not physically hold Bitcoin. If a spot ETF were approved, investors would likely sell their shares of GBTC and buy shares of the spot ETF instead. Overall, the launch of a Bitcoin ETF would be a major milestone for the cryptocurrency market. It would make Bitcoin more accessible to institutional investors, reduce volatility, and increase liquidity. These factors could all lead to a higher price for Bitcoin.